Good evening. Please stand for the national anthem, which will be performed by Cornell M. Burke Jr. and the presentation of colors by the Police Department's Honor Guard.
Honor Guard! Who? He said, who? What the who? Who?
You may be seated. Good evening. I'm Academy Director Morgan Fusions, and I welcome you to the Newport News Police Department's 14th Basic Law Enforcement Academy graduation. Welcome, distinguished visitors, recruit family members, friends, police personnel, and recruiting staff. I would also like to introduce those seated on the stage. Chief Rick Myers, Mayor McKinley Price, the Honorable Congressman Bobby Scott, guest speaker, Lieutenant General Herbert McMaster, the Honorable Christopher Papil, District Court Judge, Assistant Chief Joseph Moore, Assistant Chief Michael Grinstead, Assistant Chief Stacy Kelly, Administrative Assistant to Dawn Marie Trimblett, and Chaplain Donald Reed. Chaplain Reed, please come forward for the invocation.
Please join with me in prayer. We thank you, God, for bringing everyone together for this celebration of graduation for these law enforcement professionals who have answered your call to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly in your presence. We are truly thankful for the families and friends that have come this evening to support them. God, you have taught us to pursue peace, righteousness, and justice, to make the world a better place. These graduates are tonight joining those who already wear the badge of the Newport News Police Department. Be their guide this day, every day, and all days. Give them strength, fortitude, determination, stamina, and compassion to do their job as they enforce the laws of our community with honor and dedication. You know, God, that their chosen profession isn't an easy one, but they will do it because of their desire for goodness and love and a belief that our world still needs protectors. God, we ask that you see the light of hope and determination in each one, and know that they are our messengers of peace and justice in our neighborhoods. Every day, when these officers and all officers of this great city put on their badges, we ask you to be with them. Be there right along on every shift, every day. Give them faith, give them strength and courage to maintain their integrity and to keep them focused on their mission. The citizens of Newport News expect our officers to be there for them at all times and in all situations. Be with them, God, and let them remain compassionate at the right time, unyielding when needed, and at all times give them strength and faith. Amen.
It is my pleasure to now introduce Newport News Police Chief Richard Myers.
Good evening. A special welcome to all. Before I welcome those of you in the audience, I want to reiterate how honored we are tonight to have several very distinguished visitors and guests with us. First of all, after a long evening and an arduous campaign season, we're honored to have Congressman Bobby Scott with us. I'm sure he's exhausted. It's always good to have Mayor Price here. Mayor Price is exceptional in his support and belief that we have such an outstanding group of men and women in our department. And Mayor, we're really honored by your presence tonight. In a few minutes, I'll have the privilege of honoring our guest speaker. For now, I just want to acknowledge how fortunate we are to have Lieutenant General McMasters with us. Thank you, sir. We have some other folks in the audience tonight we want to acknowledge. We have a retired police chief from Newport News who continues to show his support by showing up at so many of these events. He's truly a gentleman, has been a great mentor for me in the 3 years I've Corvello, thank you so much for being here. We have the acting police chief from Christopher Newport University Police, Scott Austin. Scott, thank you. Marvin Harris joins us from the Newport News School District. Thank you, sir. And our city department heads, we had a department head meeting this afternoon, and they're going in 100 directions, but we're lucky to have one of our most ardent supporters and a critical member of our team, considering he's over all the city fleet, Bob McElhaney. Thank you, Bob, for being here. Finally, I want to acknowledge that we have representatives from the Virginia State Police and the Norfolk Police Department. We appreciate your support. A big thank you is in order. 3 people sitting in the front row tonight whose constant work on behalf of the department results in sponsorship so that we can hold these events in the manner in which we think our graduating class deserves. We have the president of the Newport News Police Foundation, former Mayor Joe Frank. We have Bob Orlando from the foundation board. And Foundation Development Director Amanda Ruhlen. And they have also asked me to stress the fact that their partner, Huntington Ingalls Newport News Shipyard, covered the cost not only of tonight's event, but of most of our graduations and ceremonies. So again, thank you to you 3 for your work. I'd like to thank the command staff, many of whom are sitting in the front, and of course my assistant chiefs up front. Many of them are tired. We started our day early today with a shooting and SWAT call, and it seems like the pace hasn't slowed down all day since then. But they are constantly working to create the kind of environment that our new graduating class can feel empowered, appreciated, and yet know very clearly what the expectations are. So I want to thank the staff that are here tonight. And finally, I want to thank all of you, especially family and friends of our graduates. Some of the family members we got to meet with a couple of weeks ago with an orientation, and we stressed at that time how important it is for your ongoing support, care, and nurturing and listening to your new police officers. It's a challenging job they're taking on. It can be stressful at times. So when they come home, knowing they're going to have a caring, listening ear, someone they can bounce their day off of or their evening, and without being judgmental and really watching for signs of wear and tear and boosting them up when they need it. These are key ingredients that will lead them to have a long and successful career. To the class, we are exceptionally proud of you. We started off this class with 14, and we're graduating 8. Now, I don't know what your takeaway from that is, but what I think it's important for everyone here to know is we emphasize quality over quantity. And I'll tell you how important that is. We're down 40 police officers right now. The temptation to put warm bodies in cold seats is very high, but we will not compromise the requirements to earn and wear the badge of the Newport News Police. Our community expects the best, and we're going to give them the best, and you represent that ideal tonight. Please reflect on the things you've been trained on. Think about the vision for the future of this department and how you can help get us there. Spend more time out of your car than in it. Directly engage with the neighborhoods you're assigned. Focus on the quality of life in those neighborhoods. And above all else, be humanitarians as you help people solve their problems. Treat everyone with respect and dignity, the same that you would want shown for your family. A final thank you to the people sitting immediately behind the graduating class, the training staff. For 6 months, they have toiled relentlessly to make sure that when this class hits the street, they are as ready and well-trained as any police officer in the country can be when they start their career. They truly are the heroes that turn out the top quality that we see. And I will tell you, in the time I've been here in Newport News, I hear from my colleagues all across Virginia the reputation of the Newport News Police is training and how well qualified and trained our graduating classes are. So thank you to you, staff, and again, my hearty congratulations to the class. Now, it's certainly my privilege to introduce tonight an American hero and a patriot. Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster is the Deputy Commanding General, Futures, U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command, which we all know as TRADOC, right here at Fort Eustis. He was commissioned as an officer upon graduating from the United States Military Academy, West Point, in 1984. That was a great year because I remember that's the year I got my first chief's job. His previous command assignments include Commanding General of both the Maneuver Center of Excellence and Fort Benning, Commander, Combined Joint Interagency Task Force, Kabul, Afghanistan, Commander, 3rd Armory Cavalry Regiment in Fort Carson and Iraq, Special Assistant to the Commander, Multinational Forces, or Force Iraq, and he served as an Assistant Professor of History at West Point. He is a research fellow at the Hoover Institute on War, Revolution, and Peace, and is a senior consulting fellow at the International Institute for Strategic Studies. And he received his PhD in military history from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Please join me in welcoming an American hero, Lieutenant General McMaster.
Thank you. What a tremendous privilege it is to be with you. And I mean, thanks for calling me a hero, but I don't think generals are heroes. We get to serve with heroes, though, in our Army. And what a privilege it is to be with these heroes, your heroes, in your police department. What a privilege it is to be here with Mayor Price, with Congressman Scott, Chief Myers, and especially to be here with the police officers of this great department and your families. And so, thank you for the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you and to congratulate your newest police officers. So I just wanted to first communicate to you how grateful we are, how grateful all of us are who are citizens of our nation for your service. What you do for our nation is important, obviously, to our communities, and what clear guidance from your chief, I think, on how to discharge your duties. But really, what you do, I think, preserves our way of life in our nation. And sometimes I think we take it for granted. And the opportunity that I've had to serve overseas in troubled places like Afghanistan and Iraq gave me the opportunity to think, okay, what separates our way of life? What we have in America from the very difficult situations that the citizens, the people of Iraq and Afghanistan are encountering. Environments of horrible violence, environments in which it is very difficult to get sustainable security and stability. And the biggest difference, I think, is the absence of rule of law. And if you don't have rule of law, if you can't enforce the law, what happens? Where do people go to protection? They fall back in their own communities. And those communities are then easily pitted against each other by these brutal terrorists and murderers that we see associated with Daesh and Al-Qaeda. or by other subversive groups like the agents of the Iranian government. And so they don't have rule of law to bring them together because for security, they have to fall in on these other groups, and often illegal armed groups for protection. Or they fall back on criminalized patronage networks that are advancing political agendas through criminality. And so you can't have effective governance because these organized crime networks are really stakeholders in the weakness of the state. Because it's the weakness of state institutions, especially law enforcement and the judiciary, that gives them freedom of action, that gives them impunity. And so it's what you do for our communities that we see every day. But I think what we ought to not take for granted is what our police officers do to preserve our way of life across our whole nation. I just want to add to the chief's thanks to your families. I mean, really, the support that you give your officers, so your officer can serve, is deeply appreciated. You know, we have a saying in our Army, all of us marry up, which has certainly been my case. During long periods of absence and hardships, my wife has been really the center of our family and able to raise our three wonderful daughters despite the hardships of really our chosen profession. So besides just reflecting on the importance of your duties and responsibilities and thanking you for your service, what I'd like to do is reflect on really three critical things that I think that we can all keep in mind that can help preserve the professionalism and the effectiveness of military organizations in combat, I think, or police forces that are also operating in environments of uncertainty and persistent danger. And these are three things that I think that we've learned from our experiences in Iraq and Afghanistan. And so, what can we do to ensure that we can maintain our high standards when we're facing these difficult, challenging conditions, uncertainty and persistent danger in particular? You know, and your chief has already mentioned it. Training is the most important thing. Training is the most important thing because it's your training, and it's not like it's finished, right? We're always training and getting better every day. But it's training that builds confidence. And what confidence does is it serves as a bulwark, as a barrier against fear. And it gives you kind of psychological protection. It allows you to deal better with uncertain conditions because you've trained on how to respond, to certain circumstances. And so if you think about, okay, what can lead to breakdowns in discipline? What can lead to poor decision making in combat or in any difficult situation? It's really three things. It's uncertainty, it's fear, and it can be trauma to an organization. And so training is the first of these three things that's so important because you can reduce uncertainty through your training, right? By replicating in your training those things which you expect to happen, you think are likely to happen. You can train under worst case conditions, right? It sounds like you had a pretty challenging morning this morning already. And it also serves against this barrier against fear. The second thing is to foster cohesion. To really a police force, an Army unit takes on the quality of a family over time, right? With shared experiences and hardships and the bonds of mutual trust and respect that you build up across your organization. And that cohesion is what can protect you against combat trauma or trauma that you see every day as you confront some of the most difficult circumstances our fellow citizens face. And as a psychologist, Dr. Jonathan Shea wrote about combat stress and combat trauma. He talked about really soldiers returning from combat, but I think it's relevant to police forces as well. He said that what a returning soldier needs most when leaving war is not a mental health professional, but a living community to whom his experience or her experience matters. So your police force is a living community, and your experience matters to each other. And that kind of cohesion is what's going to make you strong as a cohort as you graduate, but also keep your entire force strong as you join your force. The last thing that I'll mention is sort of obvious to everybody. What allows you to maintain your professionalism allows you to remain effective even under the most difficult conditions is leadership. And a great combat commander in World War II, Ernest Harmon, said that men and women, will follow a good leader anywhere under any conditions of combat. So this is really what allows you, again, to deal with uncertainty, right? Your leaders provide that direction in uncertain times. It allows you to suppress fear because people look to a leader when things get tough. And it allows the whole unit to remain calm even under difficult conditions. And it's leadership that allows you to get through the most difficult times involving trauma that can occur to an organization. And so the qualities of leadership, I think the chief has actually mentioned these already in a maybe slightly different language. I think it's useful to go back to a Chinese theorist, Sun Tzu, 2,500 years ago. And he said that leadership is a matter of intelligence, trustworthiness, humaneness, courage, and sternness. And so it's intelligence to understand difficult and challenging conditions and provide the kind of purpose and motivation and direction to your organization. That trustworthiness, those bonds of trust, is what allows you to develop and build cohesive teams that are confident in one another. Confronting, as we are in places like Afghanistan and Iraq today, confronting evil or confronting criminal activity, as you do every day. And then moral and physical courage. Physical courage, you display that on the job every day. And of course, moral courage is having the courage to ensure that our values are never undermined. And then of course, sternness, right? Our police officers, our soldiers, they want leaders, right? And they expect our leaders to be hard and challenge us, and to challenge us to particularly to uphold our standards and be intolerant of any breaches in professionalism. So finally, the most important thing I want to do, though, is thank these police officers for their selfless service. I think that all of us in our military feel a very strong bond between our soldiers, our military, and police forces. And I think when that bond became so apparent to us was on the day that over 3,000 Americans were murdered in mass murder attacks in New York City. And all of us, citizens who were grieving that day, grieved, but were also inspired by the courage of our police officers and our firefighters, and then inspired to deploy and avenge those mass murders, and to hold those responsible, and to ensure that we're not again subjected to that kind of massive terrorist attack. So we're bound together in securing our nation. We're bound together, I think, by service. We're bound together by professionalism. And I just want to tell you on behalf of all of those who serve in our Army, especially all of those who are here with you in Fort Eustis, we have tremendous respect for what you're about to do for our community, and as I mentioned at the outset, for all of our nation. Thanks again for the privilege of being with you.
Thank you, General. Recruit Daniel Boylan, who was nominated by his peers, will now bring greetings from the class.
Before we start, BLE 14 would like to recognize all uniformed personnel, regardless of agency. So please accept our deepest gratitude for your continued service and sacrifice. Good evening, friends, family, distinguished members of the city, fellow law enforcement. Thank you for attending Newport News Police Department's Basic Law Enforcement Academy 14th graduation. 5 months ago, 14 individuals commenced their journey to become Newport News police officers. After a series of intense academic challenges and grueling PT sessions, our numbers were refined to 8. But you see, for those 8, we had already envisioned ourselves in these uniforms. We pictured our patrol cars in front of our houses, and we knew that regardless of what was thrown at us, to reach this dream, we would have to adapt and overcome. There were many difficult and defining moments during this period of training, but also a lot of fun and memorable moments. For example, the time the class learned that you have to charge your cell phone in order for the alarm clock to work and show up at work on time. Or the time during driving week, we learned that you cannot tackle the serpentine course at 55 miles an hour. You will almost reach a tree head on. Isn't that right, Officer Nunn? The training we have received has far surpassed anything we had envisioned. Our instructors have put into action what they have taught us. They have, as we soon will, conduct a traffic stop that just doesn't feel right. Approach a subject fully aware that they are armed and also aid in the saving of a life. This is why the duty has demanded that the training has been so rigorous. Our instructors know that this endeavor is deadly serious, and they have not taken it lightly. And for that, PLE 14 would like to say thank you. NPD Briggs, or Father Briggs, as time has went on, we are extremely grateful for your sacrifice, your patience, and your dedication to PLE 14. The overall level of care displayed during the time in our academy was not overlooked. We appreciate you. By the way, did you hear that we're not meeting today? NPD O'Berry. Sir, you have a terrifying stare. It absolutely pierces the soul and instantly brought me back to my days of basic training. You instill discipline and the ability to master the push-up. The amount of push-ups on day one certainly has relocated Newport News to the West Coast. NPD Poe, your support on Taser Day was appreciated. Shockingly, we even enjoyed it. NPD Tweet, Konik's face has finally recovered from the OC spray. We assure you that your positive reinforcement was appreciated on that day, even though our attitudes didn't show it. Thank you. NPD Hudson, we thank you again for your patience with us on the range. Probably the most terrifying job ever. A bunch of people down that don't know anything. Thank you, sir. We went through with you. Sergeant Pennington, where do we begin? We will all miss your motivation during PT sessions, your loving nicknames, and your contribution to training, especially during defensive tactic week. You can ask Konik's face or my shoulder. I appreciate it. Sergeant Bartels, I will never be able to go to Krispy Kreme again. Forever, your face will be glued onto that cashier's face. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Your wealth of knowledge and your ability to instruct will ensure that this agency has the finest law enforcement officers, so thank you. Lieutenant teachers, BLE 14 would especially like to thank you for your continued support and care you displayed throughout our time together. Your weekly motivational speech kept our minds on track, and our eyes on the goal. Although it was challenging at times, we enjoy our time with you and your staff. Thank you. There was a lot of behind-the-scenes coordination in planning our training and events. We would like to thank the entire training staff for their efforts to get us here to this moment. As a class, we hope you are proud of us, and we will not let you down. And finally, to the family members of BLE 14, we would like to thank you for your sacrifice, encouragement during these past 5 months of training. Without your support and extra duties at home, while we complain about being sore and tired, we surely would not be here. Thank you.
Master Police Detective and BLE Coordinator Wilbur O'Berry will present the James D. Fox Award.
Good evening. First and foremost, I want to thank Cornell for doing an amazing national anthem for us. Please give it up. I saw this young man play at the National Night Out event in Newport News and thought to myself, I just had to have him here tonight, so thank you again. I'd like to take a moment to summarize the James D. Fox Award of Excellence and introduce the award recipient. James Fox began his career in law enforcement over 40 years ago while he was attending college. He was a dispatcher, police officer, and sergeant for the Virginia Commonwealth University Police Department. He was hired by the Henrico County Police Department in 1973, where he rose to the ranks and was promoted to the rank of assistant chief in 1991. He retired from Henrico in February 2004. During his tenure with Henrico, he earned a master's degree from Virginia Commonwealth University, attended the Police Executive Research Forum in Boston, and graduated from the National FBI Academy. Chief Fox began his tenure with the Newport News Police Department on August 1st, 2004. As Chief of Police, he worked tirelessly to reduce crime and build the city of Newport News into a vibrant, growing community. We appreciated his leadership and dedication to the safety of our community and his tireless efforts into making the Newport News Police Department one of excellence. James D. Fox Award for Excellence is appropriately presented to a graduate of the Newport News Police Department's Basic Law Enforcement Training Academy who displays academic performance, teamwork, leadership, passion, character, and commitment. The recruits and the Academy training staff selects the award recipient based on the recruit's overall performance in these areas during the entire 22-week-long Academy session. It is my privilege to announce the recipient of the James D. Fox Award of Excellence to Brandon A. Evans.
The Honorable Judge Christopher Coquille will now swear in the graduates.
I solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia, that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all of the duties incumbent upon me as a police officer of the city of Newport News, according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations.
Can you all hear me? Okay. Good evening. I'm Sergeant Jessica Pennington. I'm the Assistant Academy Director. I move now into the certificate and badge presentations. We do ask that you hold all your applause until the last recruit's name is read. This will allow each family member to hear their loved one's name called. We'd also like to invite the subject or the people that are going to be stepping up on stage for the pinning of the badges to go ahead and line up to the right side of the auditorium, please. Daniel Boylan. Brandon Evans. Harris Howard. Aaron Huling. Mitchell Jeffries. Daniel Konik. Morgan Nunn. And Cody Ruhlen. Honor Guard, will you please escort the family members onto the stage for the pinning of the badges? You may now pin on the badges. Honor Guard, please escort the families back to their seats. Give them just a moment to regain their seats, and then we'll move into the oath of honor. Chief Myers will now administer the oath of honor.
I would ask all officers who have taken an oath, current or retired, in our audience to join those on stage tonight in the oath of honor. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. On my honor, I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions. I will always uphold serve.
and community I serve.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Thank you to all.
Chaplain Reed, will you please come forward to deliver the benediction?
Let us pray. Almighty Father, now as we depart and go our separate ways, I pray for everyone here your safe return home tonight and always. Blessing to all those who daily connect, respect, protect, and serve. Almighty Father, help us to remember that freedom and justice does not automatically perpetuate itself. That we have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and pray for it. Freedom and justice, like faith, needs our attention and our cooperation. Lord, be with us now to strengthen us, about us to keep us, above us to protect us, beneath us to uphold us, before us to direct us, behind us to keep us from straying, and round about us to defend us. For those whom we honor this evening, may God bless each of you for the courage you have displayed in the taking of the solemn oath as sworn officers of the law and as members of Newport News' finest on this very evening, and for the extraordinary services you will provide and sacrifices you will make on behalf of this, our beloved community, in the coming days. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, go in peace. Amen.
Thank you for coming this evening in support of our new officers, and I invite you to the reception in the banquet room on the first floor preceding the ceremony. Please stand for reception.